Captain Frank here. Well, unfortunately, it's that time of year where you got to think about putting your boat to bed for winter. So I want to talk to you about that a little bit and a couple of things that sometimes get forgotten. In the spring, we recommission some of these boats and we find out we've got some uh-ohs. So let's cover a couple of those things. Here's a little different boat. Some of you may have a surf boat or a wakeboard boat. Everybody seems to be quite aware of taking care of the engines and what you need to do with those. But if you've got a boat like this, you've got several other systems, mainly the ballast system. These are where you fill the tanks to give you that big wake. Those have to be winterized as well, and if you're not careful, it gets really expensive if not done properly. So let's talk about one of these. If you have one of these, there's quite a few systems in here you have to address. This boat not only has a pair of engines, but it also has an air conditioning system. It has a waste system, it has a water system. The most forgot item on a boat like this is the shower sump pump. This is the pump that takes what comes out of the shower and some of the sinks and takes it overboard. If that does not get winterized, it's an expensive repair. So we talked about that waste system. One of the things that needs to be done, it needs to be emptied, of course, but we, here at Jerry's, we also flush it. We put some fresh water in it and then we flush it, pump it a second time to make sure we get all that residual out of. Then we also put some antifreeze in that and get it through the system to make sure we don't have any damage up inside on the head. One of the other things that we do here at Jerry's is we actually run the engines on antifreeze, okay? We also use an antifreeze that's designed for that. The pink stuff that you can buy at your local hardware store is really not good for the engines. It doesn't really give the coverage that you need in a harsh freezing event. We also, when we're all done, we take and we test the antifreeze that's in the block to make sure that we've got the coverage that we need temperature-wise so we don't have problems down the road. It seems like an extra step, and we've learned through the years, if you get a block that maybe didn't get all the water out or you didn't run it long enough, we'll get a temperature that's not going to protect us. So we do that, but we also go through the boat and we check other things as well. We check all of the items, make sure the bilge pump works. We make sure the bilge is empty. You don't want water in your bilge, it'll freeze the bilge pump, and then you'll have to replace that. So we go through all of those systems and find out what else you could possibly need. Do that work during the winter, so when we put it back in, you're good to go and can have a great season. So one of the things that we do that's important is we stabilize the fuel so it's going to be usable in the spring. Now we add it to the tank. There's different fuel stabilizers. All of them do a pretty good job. You mix them to what they suggest on the bottle. The other thing that we do that's really important is we run the boat after we stabilize the fuel. The fuel in the tank is protected, but we got to get it up through the engine. So we add it before we actually do the winterization process, because while we're running at Jerry's, we bring the boat up to temperature. We have the ability to do that with this tank, these tanks that we've created. So this way the fuel that's in either your carburetor or your fuel injection system is protected as well. So you're probably getting the idea that we try to be very thorough here at Jerry's. One of the other things that we check is we check the gear oil. Not just the level of it, but we want to make sure it doesn't have water in it. So if you would have this particular outboard, most people, if you're mechanically inclined, you know there's a drain plug down here that you go after to check that. The water's going to go to the bottom of the oil. So if we just crack that plug and we get water to come out, we know we've got a problem and it needs to be changed. Can't leave that in for the winter. But on this particular one, there's no drain plug down here. So you actually have to remove the propeller, get it out of the way, get it trimmed down. The drain plug is behind this propeller. So this is another thing that you could miss, and if you do, obviously it's going to be expensive.